Welcome in to Take 10 with Bob, Ney, and Chuck Walker here on the Walker Talks Radio Podcast Network. Bob, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing?
Good to see you, Chuck. I am better than I deserve, as Dave Ramsey says.
You and Dave Ramsey. My man has made a lot of money with the exact same show every day for 30 years. Good for him. Good for Dave. Good
Yeah.
for Dave. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Obviously, the news of the week. And I guess we're calling this a Trump assassination attempt. I know the Roush guy didn't get any shots off, but he certainly looked like he wanted to. What do we know as of now, Tuesday, September the 17th?
Well, there was a perimeter fence. We know a few things. There's a perimeter fence, and he was camped out. This was new information the other day. He was camped out for over 12 hours ahead of time. He had some backpacks. He had an AR. He had, I think, some other guns, because he's had gun charges now is what they've charged him with. He didn't fire any shots, but the Secret Service went ahead of the president when he plays. I guess they go one or two holes ahead, and they saw the rifle come out through this chain link fence, and they saw the top of the front of the rifle, and they started firing shots right away at it. He booked and left. He had his daughter's car. They, of course, use helicopters and everything at their availability, and then they caught him. Well, he has a long history. At one time, he was actually protested in Kiev, I guess, Ukraine. He liked Trump in the sense he wanted Trump to, support the Ukraine, and he also wanted Trump to do some executive order against the police, something of that nature. He then turned and didn't like Trump anymore, probably part of it over the Ukraine stance. And then, like Biden and Harris, he's been in trouble with the law on several occasions. So September, he'll be brought up, officially for the charges, and then the process will start, I think, around end of September through the court system.
Before this hit, well, I guess we'll stay here in this vein for a minute. Did see reports yesterday where the Secret Service had told President Trump, look, you're not safe playing golf. We prefer you not to. But he felt like on his golf courses, it would be safe for him playing. And this was the off the record or whatever it's called. This was essentially not on the plan, not on the agenda. So the question comes in, we do know that Roush was there for 12 hours. How did he know that President Trump was going to be on the course? Now, usually on Sunday afternoons, President Trump, does play golf if he's at home. So maybe that's how he knew. It wasn't like this was a schedule. We know at 2:00 in the afternoon, President Trump's going to be out there playing golf. So, start checking it at 8 kind of thing from my understanding of it.
Right. And of course, on this case, he's alive. The previous case, so the shooter's dead. So they should be able to find out more information. In particular, why was he there? Did he have a tip-off, or was he just there? So they should be able to find out some more information.
A lot of people, and even including President Trump, is saying, because of the rhetoric from the left about a dictatorship and fascism and end of democracy and stuff like that, that's fueling these obviously mentally ill people do this. But then at the same turn, a few days later, he'll start going back after the Democrats. Do you believe there's any truth to that?
I was thinking back today, and you're too young, but I'm old enough to remember the attempted assassination on President Ford. There were a couple of attempts on him. And I don't recall at that time the argument of rhetoric caused this. It was Twiggy Fromm, one of the Manson people. I don't remember rhetoric, caused this. I don't remember those types of arguments in assassinations coming into play, including, when he was assassinated, because he was actually shot by a Palestinian. And that didn't even come into play, that he was shot by a Palestinian at that time. Today's world would be different. So I don't recall that. Now, I think, being candid about this, there's rhetoric on both sides. Former President Trump has some inflammatory rhetoric where if somebody goes out and does an act of violence, one could say, well, Trump said things that stirred this guy. On the other hand, to be, again, candid and fair about this, Joe Biden has said that, basically, I'll paraphrase here, but the idea is that Joe Biden has said that President Trump is a threat to democracy. So, I mean, I think on both sides, this is out there. Now, if nobody said anything about anybody, I still think these things would happen. Again, rhetoric should be toned down a bit, but who does the toning? Is it okay for Biden to say what he said, but yet the left will say that, Trump has inflammatory rhetoric? So again, I think a lot of these people would do this no matter if nothing was said.
Before this second assassination attempt was in the news, Laura Loomer was all over the place. Everything was about Laura Loomer. I had no idea who she was until a week ago. Everything that I've learned, like most people, I do find concerning, to say the least. Why is he having her around his campaign? Even if he likes her as a friend, he has denied accusations from Bill Maher and other people that perhaps they have a romantic relationship. Why is she around him when we're 49 days out from an election now? What kind of sense does that make politically?
She's around him. She's around J.D. Vance. And I know this for a fact that senior staff people, when she wanted to work, or he suggested one of the two or a combination of the two, to work for the Trump campaign in 2023, senior staff people nixed it and said it's not a good idea. We can't have her officially working for the campaign. So she's, unofficially, traveling, not in a paid staff position, but she was nixed from being on this campaign by people who obviously thought she wasn't good for the campaign. Frankly, if you look at her record and her positions and the things she has done, Islamic phobia, conspiracy theories on 9/11, extreme ideas, extreme theories, white nationalism, and it goes on and on and on. And then she makes a statement that Kamala Harris, of course, you would smell curry in the White House, and refers to Indian call centers. When J.D. Vance is asked about this on the Sunday show this past Sunday, he skirts it. And his wife is from Indian, South Asian heritage. And he actually skirts the issue. Well, it could be, he said fried chicken, it could be curry.
That doesn't make it better, JD. That doesn't make it better.
Please, what does it take for him to just say that's an inappropriate comment shouldn't have been made? But what do we know this week with the Trump campaign? We know Laura Loomer. We know she questioned Senator Graham's sexuality. She is insinuating she has some blackmail information on Marjorie Taylor Greene. So now Laura Loomer is fighting within the circles of the Republicans. What does this do for Donald Trump? Zero. Nothing. So, the Trump campaign can go ahead and get lost in this for the week because that's the news. And, of course, eating cats. This is the news of the week. And if they think they can win by doing this, good luck. They don't need Laura Loomer. She's a white nationalist, and they don't need her. Now, if it's a free country, she wants to support Trump, fine. Having her on the airplanes with them, having her travel, having her, at key events with them, I think is just bad judgment, bad policy, and it's the wrong way to go for the campaign.
Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and it blows my mind that he's not conservative enough or Republican enough for some members of the Freedom Caucus. I literally don't know what human being would be more conservative than Mike Johnson or love Donald Trump harder than Mike Johnson. Maybe Laura Loomer, maybe Lindsey Graham, maybe MTG. But other than that, it's a very short list. He's got a big week ahead of him, big couple of weeks ahead of him as the government shutdown, which no one thinks it's really going to shut down. He's tried to stick in this SAVE Act, which has to do with this upcoming election. Reports are that Donald Trump wanted him to put this in there. What are they going to work out, if anything? Or are we going to see a lot of posturing over the next couple of weeks, and then they sign another continued resolution?
Well, ironically, I happen to be the person that authored the Help America Vote Act with Steny Hoyer, the late Senator Ted Kennedy, and Mitch McConnell. And in there is a mandated attestation across this country. When you in Jackson or me in St. Clairsville, Ohio, or anyone in this country goes down to vote, you sign. When you sign, you are attesting you're a citizen. So the attestation is there. If somebody knows or suspects that person is not a citizen, then it allows for them to be investigated. If they're found guilty, if they're not a citizen, they can be charged and found guilty with a felony charge. Now, the SAVE Act is an act on its own that can be debated. To me, it's not going to work that you're bringing your birth certificates, everybody in the country. But the act itself is really irrelevant. The Freedom Caucus wanted the SAVE Act in there. So again, they already have the attestation, but they want it in there. It doesn't belong, first of all, in a continuing resolution. No extra verbiage belongs in a continuing resolution, especially the SAVE Act, which has not been well thought out. That's number one. Number two, Johnson wants the continuing resolution, which, by the way, is not a budget. If you're a member of Congress, if you're listening to this, says budget, nail them publicly in the town hall. Tell them you are not passing budgets. You're increasing spending a bit here or there, or you're doing what they did last year and you're passing it on by September 30th. Johnson wants that continuing resolution to last to March. The Democrats want it to last to December in the Senate. Number three, Schumer in the Senate is going to move without Johnson because Johnson had to pull his own bill. Chuck, I was around the system long enough to know if you are Speaker of the House and you put a bill going through the system to the floor of the House and you have to pull your own bill, that's really not good. It's disgraceful. It's not the way the political system should run. But that's what happened because he doesn't have the votes. Here's the bottom line. Chest thumping, everybody, both sides are going to ignore they should do a budget. Shame on them for not doing a budget. They're going to do a continuing resolution eventually, thump their chests, and they're going to have to do something that satisfies the Democrats and a certain amount of the Republicans, because that's how they're going to pass that bill. The party that shuts down September the 30th, this government, is the party that will not control the House or the Senate. That is one thing I promise you. So they're not going to let it happen.
Of all the leadership positions in Washington that I think would be fun and a good time, Speaker of the House is not one of them, not in 2024.
No, and I'm not sure he'll be Speaker of the House in 2025, even if they keep the majority, because one person can vacate the seat. They don't have enough votes, and we've seen that history in the past.
I'm Nate. Take 10. Have a great day, my friend.
Thank you. You too.